Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of See You on the Other Side. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Bethany, who is a board-certified naturopath doctor, and she is our naturopath doctor. Welcome, Bethany.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm new to Bethany.
Yeah, you are new.
I'm newer.
You're newer. So I guess I want to get right into it. What is a naturopath doctor?
So I focus on holistic health, which that name is really thrown around a lot, but I want to address the entire person. So body, mind, spirit, not just the physical, but also the emotional as well. Really it's root cause. I named my business Finding the Root because that's really my goal is I want to find what is causing the imbalance. And it's truly really fun for me. It's really my biggest pastime because I just love to dig deeper and I love finding puzzle pieces that no one else can find. Mm-hmm. So it's
like a challenge.
Yeah.
Truly. Yeah.
Can I ask you how you got into this field?
Yeah, it was always a passion of mine. I remember graduating high school and I told the guidance counselor, everyone has to visit the counselor and kind of see what your next step is going to be.
Yeah.
And, at 18, not a lot of people know. For some reason, I kept telling her I wanted to do alternative medicine. I don't know where I even came up with this because, I'm going to age myself. This was a long time ago. This was like right before the internet kind of started taking off. And even she was just kind of like, well, I don't really know how to go about doing that. We thought about maybe trying massage therapy, but I just felt like that wasn't quite it. After a while of digging, I kind of felt the push to just get a job, and so I decided, well, business administration, something like that, and ended up being a paralegal for about 16 years.
Wow.
It was... I was basically kind of miserable doing that because it just wasn't me. It's just, I'm not a paper pusher. And the whole time that I was a paralegal, I was also doing a blog and it was all about my health advice. And, I just felt this urge to help people, but I just didn't know how to do it. And so, after my third child was born, I thought, well, it's now or never. I need to I found a school that I really wanted to attend and I thought, let's just go for it. So here we are. And it, literally it's been a dream come true. So, never neglect that little voice in your head because
I love that. Yeah. I think a lot of times people do push that voice away because they kind of do what you did where they're like, well, I need to start making money.
Right.
This is easy.
Right.
This can be an easy career for the next however many years.
Right.
But that little voice inside, sometimes that voice goes away and that's what makes me really sad for people.
Can I ask you, when you were a paralegal and you were doing things like you were working a job you didn't want to, how did that show up in your body?
Oh gosh, it was soul sucking, honestly.
Yeah.
It really was because you're doing the same thing day after day and you're just like, this is just not it. I already knew that. I just didn't know, what the next step was, and all the people close to me didn't really either, so because it's not a lot of people do this, so it was just I followed a lot of people, especially when the internet did start taking off. I started really following a lot of people that thought the way that I did, and started looking at their journey, which was very inspiring to me. And I knew, eventually that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So, it was kind of it was going to happen eventually. Yeah. It was just a matter of time. I wish it would have happened sooner, but.
I love that you were in it before it was a super trendy thing to do.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when that starts happening and it starts saturating social media, you can't determine who's real and who's not, and,
100%.
And whose heart is in it and who's just doing it for the clicks, and it's really hard to look through the
absolutely well
stuff.
And I feel like intuition plays a huge role because you almost have to know what to listen to, what not to listen to, because there's a lot. It's just, and a lot of conflicting information too.
Yes, and it can be very overwhelming.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's what I love to do for my clients is to just really demystify everything and make it easy. Set out exactly what we need to do. Don't crowd it with too much because that's overwhelming. And then honestly, it kind of turns people off too. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That is definitely what it feels like.
So before I saw you, I started going or seeing a functional practitioner. Okay. And it was something that was done. Leah and I did
together.
That together as well.
Yeah. We do a lot of things together.
I love it.
She's my emotional support pet.
Everyone needs one. That's all right.
But anyways, so we did this online, and we did a Dutch test and a GI map, and mine was awful. So I had SIBO, which is small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. I had dysbiosis, which is like imbalance of bacteria in your gut. High cortisol, high estrogen, low melatonin. She thought I had an autoimmune disease. And so to hear all of that is a lot.
Right.
Especially when you were in the fitness industry.
Oh, right.
For so long.
So you feel like I should be good. Yeah.
Well, and that's where I really struggled because I was like, I feel like, and you've seen me, like I eat, she's like can vouch for me. I eat very well.
Yeah. Even when we're on vacation.
Like I've always worked out, but I've done bodybuilding shows, struggled with in the past with eating disorders. But so we did this 6-month program and I like cut out gluten, I cut out dairy, and I did like feel better. But after that 6 months, I had no idea where I was at, if I was better, like nothing.
Right.
So that was the starting point.
That kind of rocked our worlds a little bit.
It definitely did. And I think it was a good step into the right direction. So anyways, I was like, well, I don't know, like, am I better? Am I not better? And so somebody recommended that I go to you. And what I like about you is that the first time I saw you, we did foot detox, biofeedback, saliva test. Is it urine?
Urine.
And I felt like you gave me like a few tangible things. And then the next time I saw you, like 8 to 10 weeks later, I saw improvement. And that was like, I felt like I could breathe. And so what I do like about you is that like, I feel like I get to see progress.
Yes.
Instead of just do this. Because a lot of people don't know what to do or where to start.
Exactly.
And then they do something and then it's like, okay, well, am I better? And I feel like I've done a lot of damage to my body unknowingly that is going to take time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like a lot of people, when they go at it on their own, which is not always a bad thing, but you don't know what you're needing. So a lot of people like grab at magnesium and just start taking that every day forever. And honestly, that can cause a lot of stress in the body if you're not really deficient, which not everybody is.
Right.
And if you take too much magnesium, it's going to push your potassium too low, and then you've got heart palpitations and anxiety, and so I love the testing that I do. Number one, because you get immediate results, which is nice. You don't need to come back and get your results, or I don't need to call you or anything. But it gives us a great idea of your body chemistry right now, which is nice, because you can see nutrient deficiencies, organ stress as they're happening. Instead of, I love a blood test just like anybody else, but by the time something is in your blood, they call it a disease.
So I want to add to that. So before I went to the functional practitioner, I told you this, I struggled with UTIs, and I had like a UTI for about a year. Okay. Where it was like I would be on antibiotic and then a few days later I would get a UTI again. Okay. And it was just like I was miserable and I was starting to get these rashes all over my body. And so the doctor just sent me to go get blood tests. And when I went to the lab, they were like, I've never seen anyone get this much blood work done ever. And then it was like, we still don't know why you have UTIs. Congratulations. And I'm like, it's disheartening.
Right. And so that's why, see, the urine test, since it's ever changing, you can really see almost more sometimes than on a blood test. Because, of course, you go to these doctors sometimes and you'll get all of these tests. You'll come back and they'll be like, well, everything's in range. But you're like, I don't feel good.
Right.
So, and you know your body best. So obviously, if there's an imbalance, you're feeling it.
Right.
So, yeah.
You said that to me in my first appointment with you, and I was just like, came home, told my husband, and he's like, I just had blood work done. I'm like, did you not hear what I just said? Like, if it shows up in your blood, it's too late.
Well, and also,
it's not the first time I've heard that, but like just hearing it again was just like, okay, there's something to this for sure.
Well, and it's like over time as a society, all of these blood tests and these like normal ranges, you're being compared to the sickest of the sick. And so that's not an optimal range. They're putting you in the normal range, but normal is not optimal. And so.
And yeah.
And then by the time you're showing these signs, they're like, well, now we need to treat it.
Right.
Exactly.
And what's normal is not necessarily healthy or good or what we should be striving for. Because sometimes our norm in our society is like pretty unhealthy.
It is. Yeah, it is. And I feel like as a society, we keep getting sicker and sicker. You often wonder, I mean, is it because we're ignoring a lot of these very, what they consider minor symptoms, before they get to be really big? And that's, I like to get a handle on that. I love to be on the prevention end. What can we do now?
I saw that our generation is like one of the first generations who is expected to not live as long as our parents.
So sad.
Can you, why do you think that is?
I feel like in a lot of ways we're more disconnected from our bodies. I don't know. It's like we've lost that true innate connection where we're seeing, like, if we see a change, you wake up in the morning, you kind of need to check in with yourself. Like, well, how do I feel today? Do I feel rested? Did I get enough sleep? Do I have good energy? Like, even something as simple as that, it's just optimizing your sleep and starting your day off on the right foot can have a huge difference, in your health. It just, but it's very sad. And, well, you see it all the time. You just look on the TV, all of the prescription, ads on TV. It's just kind of like, what is going on here? Why are we so needing all of these prescriptions? This is something,
And it's always the first line of defense. So I stopped going to my primary care doctor 10 years ago because everything I went to her for, she would write me a prescription.
Same.
Right.
And oh, you're having trouble sleeping, here's some Ambien. And just one after the other. And I rarely took anything because I was like, I just feel like there's a better way. I didn't know what that better way was. I just went unmedicated and just dealt with it. But yeah, what you're saying, it's like, if you're having trouble sleeping, why aren't they asking you well, what's going on in your life? What are you doing before bed? How many cups of coffee are you drinking a day?
Yes.
Nobody's asking those kinds of questions.
Well, and most of medical doctors don't have a lot of time with each of their patients.
Yeah.
Not necessarily their fault. I think a lot of them are overworked, but spending 5 to 10 minutes with a patient, you're not going to learn those things.
That, and I feel like a lot of medical doctors, they don't have enough, they know what they know.
Right.
But sometimes things outside of that and things that they haven't been taught, they don't. So they're not often going to talk to you about your nutrition, your exercise, your stress, your sleep, your trauma. And so even me sharing with people, going back to the norm, me sharing with people that I'm going to a naturopath doctor and I meditate and do breath work. My stepdaughters think I'm crazy. And it's am I, or is should maybe this be our norm? Because it's
absolutely.
I'm trying to connect with myself.
And the disconnect, I think, sometimes comes from all the, I hate to say it, but we say it in podcasts all the time, so it's fine. But the medications that we're on, you don't know what your home base is because you're medicating to sleep. You don't know how well you could sleep on your own.
Right.
So
I often say people don't know how well they can feel. people don't know how good it can be. They think they feel okay, but when you replace nutrient deficiencies and really like address these things and replenish them and just support the body to heal naturally, it's a lot of magic can happen. It's just magic to me.
And you've witnessed it.
Oh yeah. I've experienced it myself, I mean, they say physician heal thyself. I'm my first guinea pig, I like to say.
And that's something I don't think people know. Like the doctors who are prescribing meds, they're not taking those meds.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Right.
That used to be a common practice like 100 years ago where they would test the medicine before they gave it to people. And now they don't do that. So it's like, how can you prescribe something when you don't even know what it's going to do to that person?
Right.
And the pharmaceutical commercial that you see, that's not, it may be the norm here.
Right.
But like, that's not the norm everywhere.
No.
Like, it is not common to see pharmaceutical commercials.
No. Well, it used to be, I feel like, not legal to show those things. Now, I mean, I guess,
No, you're right.
I guess anything goes now.
All the commercials I see when I'm watching like a Hulu show or a Peacock show is like alcohol and medication.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Usually if it's a commercial, I'm like, I shouldn't buy that.
I know. Yeah. Right.
Because it's like a
They're
large,
trying to trick me.
Large company, corporation. No, I shouldn't
This
get
is
that.
a subliminal message.
Yes. I just hit mute. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Let's just wait till it's over.
Okay, so can you go in, like, so my first appointment with you was probably a month or so ago, 6 weeks.
Not that long ago. Okay.
No, it really wasn't that long ago. But it's funny because you started going to her. My friend Sarah has been going to you. I have another friend who has been going to you. And I'm just like, okay, universe. Okay.
This is a good friend circle to be in.
I know, it's a really good friend circle.
You're welcome.
And then now, like, I've talked with other people who also see you, and I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea you saw her too. Like, you're like everybody's bestie right now. But during that, what was it, an hour and a half?
Mm-hmm. Usually the first appointment's about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay. It was a very long appointment. Can you explain what the foot detox does?
I want to get into that.
What the biofeedback is.
The saliva test.
Because the thing that not only blew my mind, but like another friend who just recently saw you came in and was just like, the fact that like everything lined up. Like what she got from the detox, what she read from the foot, what you read from the foot detox. And then like you do the saliva test and you're like, oh, this is where you're deficient and this is where it's showing up. And then you do the biofeedback and it all checks.
Yes.
That's like magic.
Yeah.
So what is that process?
Yes. Going along what you're saying, I love to triangulate. And what that really means to me is see similar themes. Okay, so, yes, you do like the foot detox, you do the urine test, and like you do the biofeedback, and you start to see the same things come up multiple times. Then I know, okay, well, this is definitely something that we should address first, A lot of times once you address those forefront things, then that starts moving out of the way and new things start coming to the surface. So it really is like a stair-step thing of healing, because the body says, okay, this is what we want to do first. This is second, this is third, and you start feeling progressively better, which is great. So the foot detox is really interesting because it works ionically in that the ionization provides positive ions into the water. When you put your feet in, it will eventually mix with your negative ions to create a magnet to pull things out. So very stimulating to the lymphatic system, which is really important because our lymphatic system does not have a pump. So it does not move like our blood does. We have to move it. As you age, it really does become more stagnant. And so that causes a lot of different toxins to kind of settle in different organs of the body, basically. Different areas, joints, but also like, I'm looking at the liver, the kidneys, the gallbladder. So it really, it's a 30-minute session, and it is really interesting and cool to kind of, see what comes out. I like to say anytime I feel like I'm starting to get something, I'm like, okay, let's do a foot detox because it's just wonderful to really get that movement going, move it out faster, get the immune system working better. So it really It's cool.
It's wild to watch.
Yeah.
You put your feet in and the water is clear, and then 30 minutes later you're like, okay, so my water's black.
Right.
And there's chunks in there. And I don't know.
Right.
What are these chunks? How
That's a good detox, though. See,
That is a good detox.
That's
but
good.
like, I'll just use myself as an example.
Sure.
A lot of what shows up in my foot detox is liver.
Yes.
And
Which is very common. I will say I see
that
that
makes
a lot.
me feel better.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
I see that a lot. And the main reason, I mean, the liver is our biggest detox organ. So when things are trying to filter through your body, the liver is going to show up the most. Now, I see, varying degrees of liver detox. Some people, especially if they've done a few detoxes, it will be lighter. It won't be as heavy. But it's, for your first detox, it's very normal to have a very heavy liver detox because, you think about our environment, your age, as we accumulate toxins, you're going to have more to come out. So, but yeah, primarily liver is what I see. Gallbladder is pretty common too.
What does gallbladder mean?
So any kind of like sluggishness in the gallbladder. So, sluggish bile flow where things can get kind of sticky and not move as well. That is like a detox problem. So, we like to focus on like extra enzymes. Just focus more on digestion, really. Yeah.
I know. It's very interesting.
It's fun.
Something I learned recently is that like 95% of your body's serotonin is produced in the gut.
In the gut, yes.
And another thing that I learned on top of that is SSRIs kill gut bacteria.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
Well, and SSRIs, it's interesting, yes, but I mean, I could go on forever on those, but they they prevent serotonin metabolism, which is really important because you don't want too high or too low serotonin. Either one of them is not good. So it needs to be in balance, and that does prevent that balance.
Interesting.
So, yeah. So it's a little bit counterintuitive for what people are using it for, but
right. And the fact that like it's been proven that depression and anxiety is not a serotonin depletion.
Right.
It's not a matter of your body's not producing enough of it. It has nothing to do with serotonin.
Right. I'm looking at more like GABA and cortisol and
which nobody's talking about.
Yeah, and dopamine's actually harder to get than serotonin. Most of us have too much serotonin, believe it or not.
Wow.
Really?
Which causes anxiety. Yeah.
Wow.
So, because if you don't have enough dopamine, then you're not, your serotonin is going to be way too high. And you don't want that. It's kind of like excess estrogen. It causes just irritation and stress in the body. Dopamine is very calming. Another reason why I love castor oil packs, because that increases dopamine production, which is really good for serotonin.
Let's go into castor oil packs.
Let's do it.
Because I love a castor oil pack.
Me too. I wish I would have brought one today. That would have been good.
All of us wearing our matching castor oil
Tony
packs.
calls it my lingerie.
Oh my god. Your potato of a lingerie.
You're welcome, Tony.
I'll get in bed and I have my bonnet. I have my castor oil pack.
I mean, we're just looking hot, man. I know.
I have like my eye patches, and I dry brush in bed. I have a body one. I have a face one. I dry brush before the sauna.
Are you my best client? Maybe.
She is a great student because I'm gonna be honest, I bought a dry brush and haven't used it yet. So
we gotta get you on this.
I've
been doing the castor oil pack though.
That's good.
I love a bedtime routine.
Oh, I do too.
I love a bedtime routine.
I do too. Well, sleep is king. I mean, you want anything to have the best sleep ever. And once you've had the best sleep ever, then you're like, okay, we're going to do all
Are you
these
a projector in human design?
We'll have to look
okay,
that
we'll
up.
have to look that up later.
Maybe.
You guys love some sleep.
No.
I do, yes.
And I feel like I never get enough of it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you can't even get enough.
So castor oil pack, my lingerie.
Yes.
Can you talk about what that is and what it does? It's something that I wear every night to bed.
Yes. So the castor oil pack is interesting because it's really an old folk remedy that's become new again. It's old school. They used to say, like, they would take a piece of organic cotton flannel, they would soak it in castor oil, they'd place it over where their liver is, and then they would put like a hot water bottle on top of that. As you can imagine, very messy, okay? But very, very healing. There was a reason why they did all of this. The design that I carry in my office is virtually mess-free, which is why I like it. But the outside of it is a soft vinyl, which helps to insulate your body heat, so you don't need an outside heat source. Also keeps it mess-free, keeps all the oil in.
It does.
And I don't use a whole bunch of oil. I would say sometimes I even pour it actually on my skin, just a little bit, like a tablespoon.
That's what I've been doing, like pouring it on, like on my stomach, and then I rub it in and like massage my stomach, and then I put my pack on.
And either way, sometimes people will put it on the pack. It's fine too. Really, it doesn't take much, is what I'm trying to say. And once castor oil is the only oil that can penetrate to the organs, which is why I really love it. Really great to dissolve and break up like cysts, fibroids. Wonderful to stimulate the digestive system. So I like to say, if you're dealing with any kind of constipation, try a castor oil pack first, because it's wonderful. Once you wake up in the morning, you gotta go. It's good to get you on that rhythm. But it's mainly called a liver pack because it's wonderful to stimulate the liver to excrete excess estrogen and toxins. So it's just a wonderful healing practice for the liver, and part of the urine test I do is there's a liver marker on there. If it's ever elevated, I always recommend the castor oil packs. Sleeping in those about 5 nights a week can be wonderful for that, because it gently decongests the liver to excrete that excess estrogen. They come back, do another test, and their liver markers come way down. So the proof is in the pudding.
Is really good. Dopamine produced in your liver?
So dopamine is produced in the gut, but it's more, your body has the ability to produce its own dopamine. And because castor oil is so relaxing, that's what helps to produce it. And also, I love, I used castor oil initially to heal constipation and regulate digestion. I kept using it because it's so wonderful to deepen sleep. It extends that REM cycle.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, it extends the REM cycle considerably. And so when you're in that deeper, deep wave sleep, that's when healing takes place. So
I did know that when I got my Aura ring, which, by the way, I think we all have them on today. When I started learning more about link in bio. The commercial for, oh my God, sorry. Now I'm like going back. I started reading into REM sleep and how it literally helps your body recalibrate.
Yes.
And it helps re-stimulate neurons in your brain. And it's when you're not getting to that REM sleep, you can become deficient in so many other areas because you're not getting that nightly reset.
Right.
I thought that was interesting.
Right.
So now it's almost like a game. It's so funny because so many people track their steps and everything.
Oh, I know.
And I know that it tracks that as well.
Yeah.
But when I got this, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get so much REM tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to crush my sleep so hard.
So while everybody else is counting steps and calories and competing,
I know. I'm all about the sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you say sleep is your biggest, someone you don't know, because it's everyone has different needs and what you said, would you say that would be your biggest recommendation, that everyone get more sleep?
Oh yeah. If you don't sleep, you don't heal. If you don't sleep, you don't lose weight. Those two things are some of the biggest concerns that I hear from people. And so, yeah, you need to be optimizing your sleep. That's huge. Any kind of adrenal fatigue, that's the only way the adrenals heal is through optimal sleep. I also want to mention castor oil packs are wonderful. If you feel like you're getting sick, put on a pack. It increases your T cells, your lymphocyte production, to really speed through an illness much faster. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I've seen on TikTok, now I've been doing the castor oil pack, and we started doing that last year with the other functional nutritionist.
Oh, Michaela,
I wasn't consistent with it, and then with you, I've been a little bit more consistent with it. I don't know why. Good. But then on TikTok, I was seeing people literally use castor oil and rub it in their belly button.
I know.
Is that not?
Okay. Yeah, what is that? I've seen that too.
Well, what's wild is everyone's coming in saying this belly button thing, and I'm like, I don't know who.
Navel.
How this started.
Navel something? I forgot.
I do. I like it. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like that's great. And also, if you want to do that and then put your pack on, I like the packs because I feel like it covers a larger area.
Yeah.
And so,
So maybe in the belly button is a little bit you're getting a microdose of the castor oil.
I think it would be great for your gut, but I'm not sure if that would have that liver benefit because your liver is kind of like over here. So
okay,
not bad, not a bad idea.
So you could do both.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah,
just take a bath in castor oil.
That's right.
I don't mean to this conversation is wonderful and I'm like backtracking, but you said that like anxiety was often high serotonin.
Yes.
I've been somebody who has always struggled with anxiety, and I've been struggling with anxiety more, and I already know why that is. It's because I'm not resting enough and doing too many things. But what are like recommendations for somebody who has high serotonin like that and is struggling with anxiety?
Definitely, I think my first go-to would be blood sugar. I would really pay attention to blood sugar stability because that makes a huge difference. Animal protein is very high in dopamine. So you think about, are you getting enough protein? Because that's going to help to oppose that excess serotonin.
Yeah.
Calm everything down. Blood sugar is huge. If your blood sugar is erratic and it's, if you eat and you get spiked and then you come crashing down, get a lot of fatigue, stuff like that, that's a blood sugar issue. So, we would look at that.
And I learned this from you, but a lot of times, like when I eat, I'll eat like my protein and my vegetables first. And I also learned this from the glucose goddess.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'll eat like my carb at the very end. But you told me about like if I am craving like a dessert to get like a keto.
Yeah.
If you have a lot of blood sugar dysregulation, then I recommend avoiding sugar. So, because until we can get you more balanced, any sugar you eat, regardless if it's after a meal, which I would recommend that wholeheartedly. If you do eat something, make sure it's after protein, so that way it can help to buffer that spike. But often if your blood sugars have been erratic for a long time, you really need to avoid sugar. But at the same time, I have a sweet tooth too, so I totally get it, and so I do, more of these, like, I don't like a diet name, but, a more keto kind of sweet that has like a healthy sugar substitute, erythritol or allulose or something like that. It can be helpful because it can satisfy that craving, so you feel like you're not missing out, but it's not spiking your blood sugar.
How can you keep track of that? How can you monitor that?
Your blood sugar spikes? I go by just how you feel.
Okay.
Honestly, it goes, you really need to pay attention to how you feel. Okay. But just to be on the safe side, really get your protein in. I feel like a broken record a lot of times, but, especially like front loading your day with a good amount of protein can make a huge difference and just keeping your blood sugar more stable. And that's what we want. We don't want, you have to think like this erraticness is not good for your body. It's very stressful, especially on the liver. So, and if you wanted to lose weight, if you wanted to get better sleep, the only way to do that is to lower stress in the body. So,
yeah. What are your thoughts on too much cardio?
Yes.
Because I feel like we've talked on that a lot. Right. And I think people think if I just do more cardio, I'll lose weight. And where you and I are now, we're like, oh, but you're raising your cortisol levels and it's like not good for your heart and it's not what I thought it was. Like my entire life I've hated cardio and thought I had to do it.
Right. Isn't that terrible? Yeah. Honestly, I feel like what the 80s and 90s taught us is to exercise your butt off and don't eat anything.
Yes.
And honestly, nothing could be more farther from the truth. Because what's going on is the more hardcore, especially cardio that you're doing, it's very stressful for your adrenal glands. And when your adrenals are stressed, that puts you into survival mode and your body is not letting go of a thing. We're talking slower digestion.
Your sleep off.
Oh yeah. If you can't relax, then you're not healing. You're not going to lose weight. And that really goes with eating too. I feel like the majority of the people I see just aren't eating enough, and that's why I say really you got to get that protein in, especially in the morning, Because if you don't eat by, I like to say the happy time is 10 o'clock. If you don't eat by 10 o'clock, your body is running on nothing but stress hormone.
Leah.
And so.
Damn.
Is that you?
It's me. I have a hard time waking up and eating breakfast.
You have to almost make yourself. I mean, I was there too. You have to almost make yourself, because you get in this pattern and you think you're doing great because you're like, oh, good, I'm intermittent fasting. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you don't do that, if you don't eat by a certain time, your body starts really producing a lot of cortisol.
This is where.
So,
go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, is it different with men and women with that? Because I feel like
Jason fasts a lot,
and I feel like men
he swears it
do
works.
shit like that, and they cold plunge, and they love, and I'm just like,
it's possible that it could be different, but I will.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to say all the time men can do that, because I've seen a lot of men that shouldn't do that either. So
okay.
I think it just depends on where they're at.
I think it's interesting between men and women, because I feel like the things that they do are to be more productive, where you and I are, we're trying to do things to be less productive. like they're like, fuck yeah, cold plunge. I'm going to spike my adrenaline. I'm going to get so much work done. And you know, it's everything that we're doing is to try to slow down and
just calm
de-stress
down.
and
Well,
warm bubble bath.
yeah. Well, and you think about hormones. Okay, so that's a huge button issue for a lot of people too. When your cortisol is too high or just dysregulated, too high or too low, you're not going to be producing the hormones. Okay, and so the progesterone's going to go down. You're going to have more of that estrogen dominance. It's truly a cascading snowball effect, you know. And so we've got to keep that blood sugar and metabolism working good.
So for people who don't know much about like the intake of protein, because this is new to me, like how much protein I'm supposed to be eating. You and I have had like conversations about it, because I'm like, that's a lot of protein.
Yeah.
How much protein do you recommend?
I always like to say shoot for 100 grams. You know, most women actually need more than that.
Harder
you know,
than
or
I
like
thought.
80 to 100. You know, I mean, if you get in the habit of eating that morning meal, you'll get there faster, because you want like a lower calorie but higher protein morning meal. And then, I mean, you'd be shocked at your energy.
And also,
it will just supercharge.
Yeah. And like,
better than a caffeine
people
buzz.
think that they eat enough protein, and I'm like, well, just track it and shoot for like 80 to 100.
Right.
And they shoot for, like, they get to like 60 or 70, they're like, oh my God, I'm so full. I'm so full.
Right.
And I'm like,
yeah, I didn't realize
enough protein.
How little protein 2 boiled eggs in the morning was.
I know. Yeah.
I was like, that's it?
You gotta eat a lot of
I really
eggs.
thought I was doing really good with my
Yeah.
boiled eggs.
But then also, you know, again, like with what you're saying, a lot of people just walk around hungry all the time. And I'm like, if you got enough protein, you would not be hungry.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I start my morning with eggs and turkey bacon.
I love
and
it.
it's hard to eat it. Like it's very filling.
Yeah.
So
Which is a good thing.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. You were talking about like some people like do the intermittent fasting, which is what my husband does. But then I remember seeing, you might remember his name. I don't remember his name. He kind of blew up on TikTok. He's like a health and wellness
Gary
guy.
Brecka?
Thank you. I remember one of his TikToks. He was saying like you should have 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking.
And then 30 minutes of walking.
And 30 minutes of movement.
Yeah, movement.
Movement. Not like cardio, but just like
Right.
move around for 30
Right.
minutes and watch how your entire day changes.
Right. I could agree with it.
Okay.
But
I mean, 30 minutes is kind of a stretch for me.
I know, because I'm like, that's really hard when you have kids and you're
Right.
like getting them ready
Right.
for school. You know,
But that's why I
wake
like
up
to
earlier.
say, I like to say at least by 10. Like that's what, you know, because if you drink a little bit of coffee
like that better.
or you're getting the kids
Yeah.
ready, you know what I mean? There's other stuff that you're going to be doing, but you know, it is important. Like the morning is super important because you've got to get off that stress hormone train. You got to get off of it. It can help a lot.
I think moms deal a lot with that.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, so that's a good point. So I feel like a lot of what shows up for women is to, and men too, but is to slow down, rest more, learn to be, not to do.
Isn't that interesting for our society as a whole, though?
Right, because I was going to say, pardon my language, but how the fuck do you do that?
I mean, it's just, we're in this, like, go, 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 go. Like, I'm not doing enough. You always feel like, how can I do more? How can I be more productive? How can I, you know what I mean?
Right.
And this is not conducive to health.
So it always feels like an uphill battle, though, because it is. I saw this video where this mom was talking about, I think that sports can ruin families because we literally
traveling and all that.
Yeah, we literally have something to do every night. We both work, then we have to go to a game or we have to go to practice, and all of us are so stressed, and my kids are kids, and like you used to just be able to play sports and you could play whatever sport you wanted, and now it's like you have to
travel ball and
you have to start when you're 3 and like you do all these things outside of the school, like leagues and whatever, and it's just like it kills families. But it's like, how do you rest more where your entire family learns that in the world that we live in?
Ooh.
I think you have to be more intentional. And I mean, I agree. It's like, it's just not the world we live in right now. So you have to make it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. It's really...
You have to go against the norm.
Rebel.
You kind of do. I mean, I like to say, like, reclaim the weekends. Especially with kids is really important. Sometimes, it's good for them to just be bored sometimes. Because that's where creativity is born. That's really where you connect more as a family. Just kind of just being there together. It is hard now. And I almost feel like, I'm even experiencing this with my kids' school. Every kid does every sport. There is no downtime, really. You're just going, going, going. As a parent, I'm thinking, gosh, aren't these kids tired? It's a lot. They really, it's like, and they want to do it. It's not like they're not happy doing it, but, it's introducing them into this very fast-paced lifestyle, which I'm not sure is always a good thing. So.
Right. I'm like, do they want to do it because they're young and they have energy and they're like conditioned that that's just like the norm, and then they get to an adult and they're like, oh God, I'm tired.
I struggle with that because Elle is a little gymnast and she practices 12 hours a week, and we have meets, and I struggle because she loves it.
Right.
Absolutely loves it. We give her the opportunity every year. Like, you don't have to do this competitively. She's also super, super competitive.
Yeah.
So I'm like, am I ruining her? Like,
I think and it's something that she enjoys. I think it's great.
Yeah.
I really do. But, it's like you got to find that balance somewhere. I don't know. I'm a fan of like skipping plans every now and then.
We are so fans of that.
I like that. Just being like, you know what? We're just going to take today off.
I love canceling plans.
Yeah. It's nothing makes me happier, honestly. Right? Where someone's like, oh, sorry, I can't make it.
Don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad canceling.
Right. I'm like, oh, it's okay.
At least we have that understanding with each other.
Yeah, if you ever are like wanting to cancel, don't ever feel guilty, because she'll text me immediately. I'll be like, same. Oh my God, same.
Yeah.
Let's cancel at the same time.
Yeah. Because I just, downtime is...
That's a good cancel culture right there.
Yes, there you go. It is. Yeah.
So go ahead.
Go ahead.
Biofeedback.
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
I've been like, this one is a very fascinating one to me. People ask me about it, and I'm like, I don't know. It just tells me the things that I need to work on. I don't know how to...
Shows me things.
It shows me what's showing up in my body. I don't know how it does it and why it does it, but it just does. Yeah. So can you give a better example than what I would give?
I can try.
Biofeedback?
Yes, so I have Zyto biofeedback, which goes through galvanic skin response. So it is a software. It's a hand cradle mechanism. So, you lay your hand on the hand cradle. You're not going to feel anything, but the software sends impulses to your body, scanning each body system. It'll tell us what is stressing that body system. And then also it'll scan for several different vitamins, minerals, or herbs, that may help you bring it back into balance that you have a good resonance with. So it's really, it comes out with a very impressive report, which you've seen. It's very nice to be able to take that home and just kind of read through it. So
thorough.
Everybody loves a reading. I think it's very interesting. Every time I get a scan, I love it. It's really fun. But, so it's based on muscle testing. It's based on frequency-based medicine, which is very interesting to me. I mean, I don't like protocols because of that, because everyone is so individual. I do have, certain things that I'll go to, for different deficiencies or different symptoms. But as a whole, doing a biofeedback scan, you can really get a better handle on what exactly you're needing right now, which is really nice. And again, when we look at the urine and saliva testing, there you go. I mean, a lot of times, like, the same things start popping up, and then we know, okay, well, definitely this is something that we should focus on first, make some changes, come back, do another scan, see what shakes out. It's great. It really, really is.
So your biofeedback that I did was a little bit different than the first time I ever did biofeedback. I didn't realize there were different
There's a lot
types.
of different ones, yeah.
But there were some things that showed up on yours that, like, were congruent with what showed up on my first one. My first one, we did talk about this in an episode, but she was asking if I was, like, recently pregnant or had recently miscarried, or there was, like, some stuff showing up, and I was like, that's interesting because I did miscarry this time, but like a decade ago. Oh. And she was like, did you work through that? Have you processed that? And I was like, no. Right. Because we got pregnant again right after, and I never really thought about it after that. I'm like tearing up. I'm sorry. It happens. Yeah. And then there was something else that showed up that was like, this is showing you have a lot of religious trauma. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, how did you know that? Yeah. So I think something similar showed up with you, not the miscarriage thing, because I worked through it. Like, does it something show up different every time? Like, if something is no longer...
Yes. So, I mean, and sometimes the same things show up again, because we're addressing it, but it's not quite resolved yet. So, yes, sometimes they'll show up again. But for the most part, different things will come up because, like I said, we're addressing certain things. You come back, do another scan, then we've got these other things that kind of come to the forefront. So, but it does also address emotions, which is really interesting. And so, yeah, I kind of want to touch on that too, because, we cannot address anything in the physical without also looking at emotions because, I like to say it's like the chicken or the egg. We don't know which one came first. Often you've got these emotions, and especially if they're these trapped emotions that have been hanging around for a long time, they can cause a lot of organ stress. But also, like, physical illnesses can also cause out of balance emotions too. So we really, addressing both of them, and that is holistic. That's the holistic way. That's what I really like to focus on. This also kind of goes into the Bach flower remedies because that is a frequency-based modality as well. And I love that. Just a little backstory. Dr. Edward Bach was a physician in the 30s. And he discovered that there was 38 different flowers and plants that can gently shift negative emotions back to positive. So truly interesting. Since it's all frequency, I like to say it's not like when you take a medication, for anxiety or depression and okay, you can feel there's been a shift. This is not like that. This is like over the course of 3 or 4 days, you might notice, that really would have bothered me before, and it doesn't so much now, which is really nice, and so,
Microdosing with flowers.
It's microdosing frequencies.
It is. Yes.
That was really cool. You had me do a questionnaire, and it was asking, what is it, always, never, sometimes, or something like that?
Yeah, it kind of, so each flower represents different emotions, okay? And so, basically, that particular flower, let's say, like beech, for one, that's a really popular one, because that's a good one for tolerance. Like, let's say that you have a really short fuse, and so everything's kind of getting on your nerves, especially what other people are doing. Not so much you, but it's like, that's really irritating what he's doing or what she's doing. So beach is great because it kind of helps to build up that tolerance in you where you're not annoyed so much about other people's business.
Interesting.
Basically. Or activities. But, and that's just one of them. There's 38 of them. So really, and I build a little tincture bottle. It's virtually tasteless, and you can add it to beverages. You can put it under your tongue. But I like to blend no more than 8 remedies at a time because, I don't want to put all 38 frequencies coming at you. It's just too much. So, yes, I do like to do the questionnaire. Only because I don't go just by the questionnaire, but, if I haven't met you yet, it's nice to kind of get a handle on, like, what you're feeling, before, like, we talk, and then we can blend. And yeah.
Are you sad or are you angry? Because I've got a flower for each one of those.
That's right.
That's what it feels like. So the frequencies, this is so interesting to me. I did go down a little box rabbit hole after I left your office that day because I was like, I have never heard of this. Yeah. This is so cool. But usually we talk about psychedelics, and this is like an episode where it hasn't come up, but I have also read they are doing these frequencies with like vitamin C. Mm-hmm. They can take the frequency of vitamin C and you can listen to it.
Yes.
And your body reacts to it in the same way as it would if you were taking vitamin C as a supplement.
Yes.
Because it is like healing your body by frequency. And so in some of these studies, they are doing studies right now to study the frequency of psychedelics so you can get the same benefits of these psychedelics without the trip part of it.
Right.
Interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I am a big believer in frequencies. Yes. And I also at night listen to a chakra balancing frequency playlist.
Oh, yeah. That's great.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's great.
I've sent it to you before, I think.
Yeah, you probably have.
Yes. So, yeah, I'm a big believer in frequencies. And you said you were about to go to a training?
Yes. So I'm getting ready to attend a contact reflex analysis seminar. I hope to be certified after that. We'll kind of see how the seminar goes. But it's very interesting. It is... it assesses different reflex points in the body. It's, a lot of like energy frequency type medicine, but really, frequency medicine is the way of the future. So, I want to get in on that. I love it already, but I just have not learned the actual technique yet. So I'm excited to learn it and use it with my clients. And
so how would you... do you know this already? But like, if you are like prescribing a frequency to someone, how does that work?
Well, I don't know that it's like prescribing a frequency. It's more of getting a lot more detailed about what's going on in the body. Okay. So, if
like fine tuning.
Yes. It's just getting a lot more detailed, which, the biofeedback software is very detailed. I would say this is even more so. So, and this, I may even be able to get rid of the biofeedback and just do this. That's kind of a goal for me. So we'll see.
Wow.
We'll see. But yeah, I respect a lot of the doctors who already practice this. Unfortunately, there's not a lot in Kentucky. So again, that kind of pushed me too. I'm like, not a lot of us do this. So this would be a really unique modality for my clients. Well, and for me and my family. So
we're down.
Yeah.
Oh.
You can come and you all can be my test takers.
Oh,
we love that.
I'll have you come in one day and practice on you.
Give me the word.
Yeah.
Give me the word.
Yeah. We'll show up together.
Yeah.
So I don't know if any, like some of our listeners are probably in this space enough to understand what frequencies are, but I think it's really cool. The first time I ever heard about like 432 hertz, it's like the frequency for like your heart and your heart chakra and can help balance that. I think sometimes talking about this stuff makes people feel like out of touch. They're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Right. But what I would say is the first time I ever heard of this was like after a Reiki session, and she basically was just like, I want you to listen to this on your way home, and you might cry a lot, but we're trying to balance that heart chakra, and this will help do that. It was so weird to me because I'm just listening to this frequency in the car, and it's just like,
Yeah.
but it like,
Did you
I
cry a
could
lot?
feel it
Yeah.
in my heart.
Wow.
And so there are different frequencies with different chakras and different parts of the body. And I just invite people to like be open to the possibility that like it's possible to hear something and feel it correlated somewhere in your body. It was just the wildest thing to me. That was kind of what got me started on like, oh my God, there's something to this. And, you know, dogs can hear frequencies that humans can't. So there's clearly something there.
Absolutely. Well, and you know, we think we're all energy. Everything about us is energy and frequency. And so we respond to these things. It's another reason why like EMFs and 5G can have a negative effect on us, because it's messing with those frequencies. It is such a powerful frequency that it's going to affect us. So
My husband doesn't believe me on that one.
Really?
But I've got like shungite stickers and
yeah.
What's that?
It's like a
Kind of neutralizes EMFs.
It's like you can buy like stickers. It's kind of like a crystal.
Send it to me.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
You're
that's
supposed to like set them by your like TVs and your internet cable, and like you can also put it on your phone. The sticker you can put on your phone.
I need that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of, you know, actually like EMF sensitivity, so electromagnetic radiation, will show up on the biofeedback as well for certain people. I mean, you know, I have to say not everyone is super sensitive to that frequency, but it's come up a lot lately. So,
Wow.
you know, I like to say don't sleep with your phone, obviously. But, I mean, if it is in your room, airplane mode is helpful, because when we're asleep, we're really a lot more vulnerable to these frequencies.
Oh, wow.
Like, you don't want your Wi-Fi router in your bedroom. That'd be a big no-no. I would move it, you know, to be as far away from sleeping as possible.
I never even thought about that stuff.
Yeah.
My
I've
phone
heard
is
that
on silent.
quite a
but
few
not airplane
times, like
mode.
not to sleep with your phone connected to Wi-Fi next to you.
Right. I mean, it's just because I think we're always sensitive to it, but when you're sleeping, you're especially vulnerable. So, because that's when you're healing, that's when your defenses are down.
Yeah.
So,
I fully believe that. There was an app that I used to use that you could speak affirmations into it with your own voice.
Yeah.
Oh God, I can't remember the name of it, but I did it for a while, and I would sleep with that because it was frequencies behind my voice, speaking affirmations like to myself. And it's like when you are in that sleep state, you are more vulnerable and easily, I hate saying the word manipulated, but like, yes, like that's why in like some really bad cases, like people will sleep deprive people to manipulate them. Yeah. So I was like putting all the positive affirmations in my brain.
Now I want to take my phone and like put it in my bathroom.
Yeah,
you can.
Yeah.
And just like set my alarm, and that's what I have to get my butt up and.
Okay, but airplane mode works too.
Airplane mode is great. I know a lot of people don't like that because I don't know. I guess you can't still get calls if it's on airplane mode.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, if you move it, just get it away from you. That's the biggest thing. This is why, like again, like grounding sheets. Sometimes people talk about the grounding bags. Stuff like while you're sleeping can help a lot too, because that does mitigate EMF.
I've seen that
radiation
too.
As well. Yeah, they're a little pricey. I like, it's kind of the same thing as going out and grounding or earthing, just bare feet on the grass. Same idea. But if you want like a fun gift for yourself, yeah, I think grounding sheets are great.
I just heard about palming.
What's that?
It's like grounding, but like instead of having to take your shoes and socks off outside, you literally just like sit on the ground with your palms on the ground.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
People think I'm so weird, y'all. I'm so happy to be in a room with weirdos. I love it. I love it. We all think the same way.
We're not weird, they are.
No, right. Actually, I'm not the weird one.
So back to the biofeedback. Okay? Because I feel like
bring us back in. Yeah.
It's like when it's pages long, like going through it. A lot of what has shown up for me is like anger, grief. We learned that I was dehydrated. I'm literally trying to I'm drawing a blank. I struggle with sleep, which, by the way, I realized I was taking 10 milligrams of melatonin,
That's
not one.
All right.
Yeah. I changed.
It makes a difference.
It does.
Because you probably were waking up feeling,
Yeah, I was God, I guess I'm going to get ready for the day.
Right.
Wait, you were taking 10 and thought it was 1?
No, I was taking 10, and then I talked to her because, I had low melatonin, so she was like, we'll take melatonin, and then she was like, how much are you taking? I was like, I don't know, I think 5 maybe? I went home and it was 10, and she's like, yeah, I want you to take 1.
Yeah.
And I would wake up and because I would be like, well, I don't have, melatonin, I need melatonin, and I would be really groggy and still, I just want to go back to bed.
And one of the worst ones too is the delayed release. I'd like to say don't do that either, because you want the melatonin is great. I'm not saying don't use it, but I like a low dose, and I don't like the delayed release because you mainly it's just kind of to get to sleep, just to help a little bit. Yeah. But
But a lot of things showed up because it was emotions. It was dehydrate. I don't even remember all of the things that were wrong with me, so I don't know if you remember either. But
so much.
so much. I'm am I your worst client? I don't know.
And anger is an interesting one because when that shows up, I always focus on the liver. The liver is the holder of that heavy emotion. So anger, you may not even feel, I'm sure you saw that and you're like, I don't even feel angry. Why?
No, I feel angry.
She's pretty angry all the time.
Not all the time. I'm working on it. But
there's a lot of anger.
I think anger for me was a safer emotion than crying.
Dealing with the other. Yeah. Yeah. And also any kind of when the liver is stressed, it will hold that anger. But also at the same time, when you're feeling angry, it's going to be hard on the liver. So, it really, but lifting that emotion can be a game changer. I don't know how you're doing on the Bach flowers. Did you like them? Or?
I do love them.
Yeah.
I want more. Because I feel don't they kind of fade after?
Yeah, the first 2 weeks after I blend them, they're the most helpful. You can still use them after that, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I felt a difference with that. I'm trying to think if there's anything to include on the biofeedback, because that was, I don't know, I just had never done that before.
The most interesting thing.
And it was the most, and do you remember what showed up for you?
I honestly do. I think some grief and sadness, which we all know, and we've talked about it before. She brought that up, and I was like, well, my husband's a recovering alcoholic, so there's a lot of grief that, you know, we've been working through. And that's the thing, though. We have been, it's not anything that I didn't already know.
It's very accurate.
I've already been kind of working through, which was really interesting.
Well, it's also nice. It's almost kind of liberating to see it. Okay, so I know
it's
my
there.
body, and so this is correct. And
I think that it's probably going to be there for a while because it's a constant healing process of working through it. So hopefully next time it'll be a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, can I ever get to a point where you're like, you know what? You're great. The biofeedback, it was perfect. You have all peaceful emotions.
I feel like we're a work in progress. So
always,
not to say that, even me, I'm not going to be perfect, really. Yeah. There's always something that I can work on. Will you get a ton better and probably be like, you don't need to come see me as often. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And we'll just do a maintenance thing. But, I feel like paying attention to you and, focusing on your health is never a waste of time. You can always benefit in some way.
I love that.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to include is in the biofeedback, it showed up that I had candida. Can you explain what candida is?
Yes. So candida is naturally occurring in the gut. We all have some, okay? And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's when digestion is more slow that we can have an overgrowth of candida, which can lead to UTIs or yeast infections or, thrush or, really a lot of different things. It does go hand in hand with estrogen dominance. So it's, it's really important to get a handle on it. Candida is a fungus, and if too much of a fungus for too long, it can really cause a bigger out of balance condition. So we do, that is, and Candida is very common. Okay. Common is not what I like to say. It's not normal, but it's common. A lot of people today do have a lot of overgrowth of Candida. But it is a root of, a lot of different imbalances. So I like to get a handle on that for sure.
Yeah. Which that has improved, luckily.
That tracks with you.
Yeah, it sure does. Do you have any tips on people who also have high estrogen like I do?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, blood sugar is really, that is one of my top focuses for a reason, because when you have erratic blood sugars, if you're eating too much sugar, that's really going to lower your progesterone and be hard on your adrenals, and then the estrogen gets out of control. So also, like if you have slow digestion, that's a big red flag, because estrogen only leaves through the bowels. So if you're not going to the bathroom every day, then a lot of that excess estrogen is just circulating. And there's a lot of different kinds of estrogens. So, even like someone that's postmenopausal, they're like, well, I don't have any estrogen. Well, yeah, you do, because your fat cells still continue to make it. And we're being surrounded by so many toxic estrogens, beauty care products, even the water. We're truly bombarded by excess estrogens. And so you really want to continually be detoxing your body. And the number one way is going to the bathroom every day. So, but, at the same time, I'm a huge fan of some bioidentical progesterone. I feel like, after the age of 35, our progesterone really starts to wane. Progesterone is a very calming, protective hormone. When it's missing, then estrogen kind of gets unbalanced and erratic. We don't want that, because that can cause other bigger problems. So, I do carry progesterone in my office because it's a great thing to supplement when needed. It's safe. It really helps to improve sleep. If you're not sleeping, oftentimes it's low progesterone is to blame. So
I learned so many things that
I
know, seriously, like things that we were taught, and then I hear it from you and it validates what I've been like feeling, or like I've seen it somewhere else, and I'm like, that goes against everything that I ever learned. And then you say it and I'm like, oh my God. Like it doesn't matter how much water you're drinking. You could still be dehydrated if you're not getting enough sodium.
Right.
And what I learned growing up is too much sodium is bad for you. Right. And now you and I are drinking our salty drinks every morning.
Oh, I drink 2 elements a day, baby.
Right.
I got one. Yeah, because I was dehydrated, and I started
You're
drinking
like,
those.
how? I drink so much water.
I'm like, that's literally all I drink is water.
Right.
And I guess, can you explain that? Because then now I started drinking 2 elements a day, and then the next time I came back, you're like, oh my gosh, it's so much better.
Yeah. Definitely. I think low sodium is a huge problem with our society, because a lot of people drinking a ton of water, not feeling quenched, still feeling thirsty. That water is just not getting pushed into the cells. So, low sodium, what depletes sodium? Why is everyone so low in sodium? Adrenal fatigue, adrenal imbalance, because the adrenal glands are really nourished by sodium. When they are stressed, any kind of adrenal stress, so that's emotional or physical, you lose a lot of sodium and potassium, especially overnight. So in the morning is when you're really going to feel that depletion. Sometimes people wake up kind of shaky, or like a headache, front or the back of the head, maybe some leg cramps, heart palpitations, a lot of things. But also, when you're low in sodium, you're going to be low for stomach acid. So that means your digestion is kind of struggling. Constipation, I love sodium because it's going to help to improve gut motility, and it works pretty quickly too. But it also sets you up for better blood sugars throughout the day. So, because when you're low in sodium, your blood sugar tends to be more erratic. So getting it in the morning can be a game changer, just to keep you more even. Also, sodium lowers adrenaline. So when you think about the adrenal glands, that's what we're talking about. So it's really, I love my LMNT.
Same.
Oh, it's
It's
I know.
It's the best.
Link in bio.
And that is like, I drink it every single morning. Every morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to the point where I crave it.
Yes.
Like I want it. Like
Yeah.
I feel like it hydrates me.
Right.
Where before when I was just drinking straight water, I could drink and drink and drink.
It was never enough.
And then the other problem that I would have is I always just felt so thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
And so like a lot of times I would, drink before bed because like, I had dinner and like I'd brush my teeth and then everything I did, I felt like I had to like chug water.
Uh-huh. Isn't that interesting?
I know,
And
but then
so
at night, like, and I still struggle with this a little bit, going to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
All night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Easily like before it was like 4 or 5 times a night.
I don't
So
wake
then I'm
up in
not
the
getting
night.
good sleep.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So has that gotten better?
It has.
Okay.
But it doesn't when I'm not doing the right things.
Right.
It goes like, so I have to, like you said, I have to be very intentional about like
Yes.
my everyday habits.
Yeah. Truly.
And yeah. This is off topic, but we've talked about like SSRIs.
Mm-hmm.
Even little things like I feel like people here, we live in the valley. We struggle with allergies, and so people's immediate
The valley.
people's
LA.
That's what I was thinking.
I know. The valley.
Ohio Valley,
The Ohio Valley.
the Ohio Valley.
It sounds a lot cooler.
Yeah, you made it sound really cool.
I
We
did
live in the
make
valley. Do we?
But like everyone's go-to is to like take an allergy pill, or
Right.
you have a headache, you take an ibuprofen, or you do this. And like, what are your opinions on just kind of even just like over-the-counter drugs?
Well, allergies indicate a full liver. So I really...
And I emailed you about this.
Yeah, I do really like digestive enzymes, though, because so enzymes are
what I
like
take.
Pac-Man in the body. They really kind of run through and they break down these undigested proteins and inorganic minerals, toxins, allergens that are kind of just floating around causing problems like allergies. So if we increase our digestive enzymes, that can really alleviate a lot of symptoms. And I find also, as we age, you lose a lot of that digestive enzyme activity.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't have as much of it. And so, honestly, the majority of the population could really benefit from digestive enzymes. Yeah.
I take some.
I'll have to check out what you take.
Yeah. Well, and okay, that brings me to my next point, because I feel like after seeing you, my morning routine was simplified. Like,
Good.
I felt like not so overwhelmed. I remember when I came to you, I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be taking. Like, you hear this is good, so you take it. You hear this is good, so you take it. The same with magnesium. Like, everybody is on this like big magnesium kick right now. And it's like, your body can't even
Right.
absorb it right if you're not doing this. And if you're deficient in this, then the magnesium's not doing anything. So,
Well, and when we were going to the functional practitioner, like we were taking a lot of supplements and they were expensive.
yeah, I was on a lot of supplements.
And so then it's like, and then they change, and then
They changed every month.
so then when you're done, you're like, okay, so what should I do?
Right. And that's kind of where I was like, I was left lost, because I'm
Yeah.
like, well, so now what? What do I do now?
What do I need?
So when I came to you, I had a list of what I was taking, and it was really just like basic. I'm like, I take vitamin A, I take vitamin D, I take vitamin B12. And you were like, okay, you don't need this, you don't need this. This is what you do need. This is what you do need. This is what you do need. And I was like, that made it so much easier for me
Yeah.
to follow. It
Well, that's
wasn't
the goal. Yeah,
near
I mean,
as
that's-
overwhelming.
Right.
And we
right.
don't think about the fact that like everybody's body needs different things. And so
Right.
just because vitamin A is good for you doesn't mean you need it.
Right. Right.
Yeah. I love that
Very, very
about
true.
you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I love about you, but like, I'm a Bethany believer now.
Yeah. That's Stan. Okay, I have one more question.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Fire away.
What is your opinion on birth control? Taking birth control.
I hate it.
Oh.
Can you elaborate why? you hate it?
So, it is not fixing anything. It is only tricking the body to thinking that it's, it's synthetic hormones, and synthetic hormones are very toxic. So, it's often way overprescribed for everything from acne to depression to
lighter periods.
Yeah, to get periods under control. No, and it increases a lot of toxic estrogens in the body. So again, and it takes a long time to get back into balance from that.
It took me 2 years.
Yeah. It's very
to be off of it fully, to
right.
have like normal periods again. I thought I was a heavy bleeder for life, and that 2 years coming off of it, like I wanted to go back on it so many times.
I bet.
It took 2 years for my skin to clear up. It took
Are
so
heavy
long.
periods normal? I feel like they're normal, but like normal, like that's a lot of women struggle with that.
I feel like
but
a lot of
that
women struggle with that.
Is that something where maybe there's
common or normal?
Is there something underlying?
Yes.
Absolutely. I've read that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think number one, a lot of, even 12-year-olds, even just starting your period, they have the worst cramps ever. I would have put myself in that category way back then. Looking back, what was the number one thing? Not eating enough protein, 100%. People overeat the carbs, not enough protein. It's
always the protein.
It truly, because if you did that and just stayed really hydrated, cramps would go bye-bye. It's not, And then you think about, you've got this huge problem. You're trying to just go to the doctor, get a pill, fix it. But really, it's just setting you up for maybe even a fertility problem. And later, you know what I mean? It's not, it's just more problems down the road. But people just don't know. People don't know how easy of a fix these things can be. Yeah. So,
Yes.
I have a documentary that I recommend to everybody, The Business of Birth Control.
Oh, yeah.
It is a really good one. It will change your life when it comes to whether or not you are thinking about being on or off, or putting your children on or off birth control. It's a really good documentary.
But what about, so then if you hate it, what is the alternative for young girls who are wanting a form of birth control, like preventative?
Well, I would say I would go to the barrier method before anything else. So,
what is that?
Condoms.
Oh.
Apparently, we're not in.
Never heard of her.
Listen, I'm married with 3 kids. I've been married a long time. What are those?
But I basically.
I'm so sorry. Oh, that.
Right.
Okay.
So, because that doesn't mess with you. Okay, so that, it is not going to mess with your hormones. I don't want you to take anything that's going to mess with your hormones. But also pay attention to your body. I know that, as you get older, it's easier to do, obviously, but pay attention to your cycles. You can't get pregnant every day of your cycle. There's like 5 or 6 days that it's even remotely possible. Honestly, maybe even closer to 3.
Well, and you and I just started using the Starlight app, and I've had period tracking apps before, but the Starlight app is the first app that has ever told me anything about the follicular phase, the luteal phase, the ovulation phase. And I was like,
I need to start using that.
I have never learned so much about my body than using this app. I didn't know what luteal meant. I didn't know what follicular was. Like, I didn't know that like you could be working out and doing different things during different times. And it's very interesting.
Do you know what her nickname is?
What is my nickname? Oh.
We call her Luteal Leah.
It happens every time where I'm like a hot mess. I'm either super ragey or I'm super emotional, and I'm like, am I in my luteal? And then I look and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in my luteal. And so that's a thing that I think is a big misconception. So many people, and women, I was one of them. I'm a woman and I felt this way. I thought that like when you were on your period, you were emotional. And that was your most emotional. And there, you see memes about it, like, and then it's like, actually, no, you are more emotional during your luteal phase, which is the leading up to the period phase.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Why aren't we taught this stuff?
Yeah.
They don't even teach this. And
no. You got to
home ec in anatomy in any of that shit. I had to learn it as a 40-year-old woman on an app.
That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
Right.
So yeah, the tracking works and the barrier method.
Condoms.
Condoms.
Never heard of it.
She made me say it. But I will also kind of throw this in too. I feel like, especially like teenage years, early 20s, anxiety becomes an issue. And
I kind of want to talk about that too.
Oh yeah, it is always a hormone problem. Too much estrogen. Always.
Okay,
so go ahead.
Okay, so this generation of kids and teens, I feel like, are so mentally sick. They struggle with anxiety, struggle with depression. I've noticed having 2 young stepdaughters is that so many of their friends are medicated.
So.
It's almost the norm.
Like, I feel like we're the not norm family because none of our kids are medicated.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that my kids like are not different, but like we're not the norm because we're not a medicated family.
Yeah.
And people think that's super weird.
Right.
Yes.
Like I talk about Austin having ADHD and they're like, is he medicated? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And I won't either.
Yeah. And I think my son has ADHD as well. And like, that's not even, I'm like, okay, we're going to be outside all day long.
Yeah.
We're going to play and get some energy out. But for like the teens who really struggle with, anxiety, depression, like what are some tools that us parents can use for our kids? Because this is like new territory. Because when I was in high school, I think I had anxiety, but I didn't even know what that meant. Where now I feel like they're exposed to so much. Yeah. And all of them, most of them, a lot of them, whatever, they mentally struggle.
Great question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very multifaceted. So like not every case is going to be the same. What I would do is really focus on blood sugar, number one. I really would. Make sure they get plenty of protein and really try to limit processed foods because those have like these excitatory chemicals. I know, it is hard. Very hard for kids. I feel like even going to school, it's thrown at them. I mean, it's very, very hard. But I always feel like instead of saying, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, let's try to crowd it out with good stuff. Let's, really try to like give them lots of protein, fruits and vegetables, give them as good, clean water as you can, and then the occasional treat's going to happen. It's going to happen because that's the world we live in, and so it's all about some balance. Sleep is very important. So, regular sleep schedules are a big. But like I said, every case is very different. I carry the Vervita line of supplements, and there is one that I really, really love for kids in cases of like anxiety or depression, and Spiracell is wonderful. There's one that does really well with it called Calms at nighttime. That's really fantastic.
I take those.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Did I give you those?
No.
Oh,
you just took them?
Yeah. Can you get them? Can you get them from Whole Foods?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I don't think so. Okay, but nice. I mean, Spiracell is really wonderful because it has natural GABA. GABA is very calming. Also, it has like all the methylated B vitamins, so it really supports methylation, which is normally a problem as well. But I mean, there's so many ways that you can support these kids. It's, and also you need to realize that kids are so resilient. They're not like us where it's like an uphill climb, I mean, a lot of times they have youth on their side. It's just a couple little things that you can put in there to really kind of rein them back in and make a huge difference in how they feel. So, yeah.
I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I think I sent it to you, but it was talking about like anxiety in kids these days and how we are, as a society, trying to get rid of anxiety, but it's actually not necessarily always a negative thing. It can be an indicator that something needs to change. It can be a invitation to move. And the way that she said it was like, imagine someone who has never experienced anxiety in their life, who doesn't know what that is, never had it, pure. They're going to cross the street without looking both ways because they have no fear. And a little bit of fear is healthy.
Oh, yeah.
Because it teaches you to be cautious.
Well, the same with cortisol. A little bit of cortisol is good. The cortisol is a good thing. It's when it's imbalanced that it becomes a problem. But yes, like anxiety is there to protect us first and foremost. You know, it's when it starts disrupting your life that it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people don't realize, like, well, maybe I need to change some things in my life.
Or maybe my job is causing my anxiety.
Right. Maybe the way I eat. Maybe how I'm sleeping.
Yeah, the processed foods one is, I went down a rabbit hole the other day that, and this is, you can look this up, but like big tobacco companies bought a lot of the food companies because they realized that they were just as addictive because of the things that are put in them as nicotine is. So
sad.
Yeah.
They own a lot of the big processed food companies.
And even like to parents who are like, well, my kids ate McDonald's. I ate McDonald's and I turned out fine.
Right.
I saw a video where it's like, yeah, but the fries that they made 30 years ago, they're made differently now.
Yeah.
Like, because they are always trying to find cheaper ways to make that food.
Well, they used to be fried in beef tallow.
Oh.
Which is a real food, okay?
And
like now it's seed oils, canola oil, vegetable oil, very inflammatory, highly toxic. I mean, you know, so it's just not the same. It's just not the same that it used to be.
I'm reading a lot about seed oils too. Here's the thing. All of this information can
much.
sound so overwhelming because it's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
I will leave people with this. Like, you can never be 100% toxic free.
No.
And you can never be 100% processed food for, I mean, I guess you could, but that would be a really, really hard life to maintain.
And you need to live your life. It's not
live your life.
Right.
I think what we keep coming back to in this conversation is intention.
Yeah.
And you can be intentional and you can lighten the load.
Exactly.
And so it's almost like, I know soda's bad for me, but every now and then I'm like, I'm going to treat myself to a soda, but I know it's bad for me.
Right.
But like, my intention isn't like,
I drink this every single day.
Right.
Multiple times a day. It's
Right.
like, you know, I'm having pizza with my family. I'm going to have a Diet Coke.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except I don't do diet. Okay? A little bit.
Being real. Yeah.
I'm still intentional. Okay?
That's right. That's right.
Do you have anything else?
No, I think we covered so much.
I mean, this podcast could be 5 hours.
It really could.
If I wanted it to be.
I know. I got to let her go so I can eat some protein.
Thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you.
This was
for
really, really
coming.
fun.
We're pretty
Really
fun.
Yeah.
I'm a fun person. I know. When you saw me, I was like timid and like, oh God, there's so much wrong with me.
No, Beth is awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to get to know you more. I'm excited to come see you for my second appointment. And for everybody in the Louisville area, even if you're like outside of Louisville, I would say worth the drive because you're, I'm seeing you every 10 weeks right now. Worth the drive. Can you leave your website information?
And your Instagram.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. So findingtheroot.com is my website. My email is bethany@findingtheroot.com. My Instagram handle is findingtheroot.llc, I believe.
We'll link it.
It is linked on my website as well.
Okay.
So my Facebook and my Instagram is on the website. But yeah, check me out. I love to help people. I really, truly do. And so, I love my clients and I just love improving our quality of lives,
and it
that's
shows.
really what it's about. So
it shows. We can feel it.
Yeah.
To all of our listeners, we'll leave notes in the bio, link in bio, and we'll see you guys on the other side.